July 15th, 2020, Anthony. I can't believe it's the middle of the week already. This summer is flying by. I'm excited for today. How about you?
No Vacancy Live. Let's go.
Right? It's happening, baby. I like that groove, man. Brand new credits, brand new show.
Look at that intro. Huh? Look at us. We're so
I know. Now let me just take this off the screen so that way we can see each other. Man, very exciting. As you guys know out there, we're officially No Vacancy Live right now. It took us about 4 months to figure all that out, but we have, and it's really exciting to be coming to your homes every single day. And Anthony, I got to tell you, the last 2 days, having Roger Thomas and Todd Avery Lenahan on Monday, and then on Tuesday with the team of the Drew Las Vegas, we are getting views like I couldn't have believed. It's amazing, those interviews.
I'm getting noticed, and people are DMing me about, like, I'm so used to Hotel Impossible. They're DMing me about this show, which is crazy. And
awesome.
Again, the reason we're changing the name to No Vacancy Live is because we were both trying to hold on to our brands with the Anthony Mercuri and Glenn Houseman. What was the name of it? Checking in. and you're No Vacancy that you built. And it's like, hey, man, you've just been so successful. Let's just put it together. We'll figure it out. And we really did that for sponsorships because we're getting so many requests for sponsorships that we want to make sure that everybody understands cleanly what the show is. So it's No Vacancy Live. And thank you, Jeff, for our beautiful intro and our beautiful new logo. Good job.
And if you do want to sponsor the show, hey, drop us a line over here. You can find me, Glenn, at rouse.media, or find out on any one of our pages online. I'm online at Traveling Glenn, and he is Anthony Hotel. All right, so Anthony, what's going on? I think you got some news before we bring in our first guest.
I do. I don't know if Jeff, does Jeff have that article? Jeff, if you do, pull it up as
I see it's happening behind the scenes. Boom.
Okay, so pull it up.
Oh, New
Jersey becomes the first state to mandate panic for hotel room cleaners. That is not the article. I pulled up the wrong article, but that's an old article, and that's a great article. I was about to say,
right now?
And that's a great article. I love it. That's the wrong article, so my apologies, Jeff. What happened yesterday is Jersey became the first state to mandate that every single room in a hotel get cleaned every single day.
Oh, boy.
So you know how I found out? So let me tell you how I found out. Now, that's great for housekeepers, and that's great for, I guess, somebody else, but it's not great for the guest. And it's not safe for the housekeepers because they're going in guests, especially right now with the highest level of COVID we've ever had, the explosion. You don't know where people come from. And so every single day right now, it's mandated by New Jersey that you have to clean every single room. I don't want anybody in my room. So I would tell people just usually do not disturb signs and we won't go in the room, I guess.
So what's going to happen?
I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. I'll give you an example of how I found out.
Right.
Okay. Woke up this morning, did my regular routine, was working out near my pool. I started to get ready for my day, started doing my emails, started working. So, started responding, taking conference calls. Then I'm getting ready for my friend Glenn. All of a sudden, I get a text from my partner, Jeremy. Mm-hmm. And she basically says, hey, we have a hotel that we're working with that has closed rooms. So what do you mean they closed rooms? They've been closed for so long, they need every single room. It's like they're selling them. We're selling them. We're doing a great job of revenue management, but we can't answer that phone. Mm-hmm. We can't.
They're doing such a great job at revenue management. People are actually calling you for that hotel.
That was great. See, it's doing so well. They're calling me.
Yeah.
So hopefully my family will understand answer that phone.
I don't understand that you actually have a phone. People have phones anymore.
Yeah. And hopefully they'll get that. Apparently they're not getting it. So live shows love it. So basically what happened was I get a call. And she never calls me about anything with our clients unless there's a problem. It's very rare. Mm-hmm. So what happened was they basically put rooms out of order to not sell them because we couldn't keep up with it because we can't find housekeepers because, as you know, that $600 $100 unemployment, people don't want to work.
What a cluster F.
So now you're forcing us to clean the rooms, but you're basically motivating people to stay home with that $600 tax credit, so they're not, or unemployment credit, so they're not coming to work. So they closed the rooms. So I called the owner of the property, and I was just like, "Dude, we got a problem." Anyway, we handle it. We're handling it now, and working through it, but it literally was on my doorstep this morning. So like basically day one, it's already a cluster because you can't find people because they don't want to come to work because they're making too much money, but you're mandating us to clean every single room when the housekeepers don't want to clean every single room because the union is telling you that this is what they want. Well, it doesn't make any sense. And again, I want all the housekeepers to work. Okay. But you know what? They're better off right now staying home with the $600 and they're probably making more money with the 600 plus their unemployment than to go and clean every single room. But you can't motivate them to come to work because they're staying home. They don't want to go clean those rooms.
Wow. This is just going, this is going in the wrong direction. First, San Francisco did it. Now an entire state is forcing this.
No,
I don't
think San Francisco, I don't think it actually cleared yet. Did it?
Yeah, it did. That's what Chip was talking
No,
about.
he said it was going to happen. He said it was
I mean, it was being pushed through and there was nothing that they could do about it. Jeff?
Yeah, we need to get our friend Nick over at Lapeer on too because LA is doing that as well.
Oh boy. All right, so this is going to turn into a huge colossal issue. All right. Anthony, I think there's something we're going to have to keep our eyes and ears out for.
But let me back up just so people understand, make it clear for people that don't watch every day, maybe they're not hoteliers. We want to keep everyone safe. We want our housekeepers to come back to work. We want to open the hotels. We want travelers to travel. We have the number one day in COVID cases was yesterday. People are traveling away from their state to go to other states 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. So they're going to the rooms. They don't want housekeeping. Okay. Housekeepers don't want to go into rooms that guests are in. So now there's two things happening. New Jersey has mandated that every single hotel room in New Jersey has got to be cleaned every single day. That's great, okay, in theory, but it's not practical because there are people at home because they're getting $600 to stay home plus their unemployment, so they're making more money than they would if they came to work. So now you don't have employees to clean those rooms every single day. Guests don't want those people in the rooms. So now what are hotels doing? Hotels are closing rooms with people that want to stay in them because they can't clean them. I can't
even imagine how effed up that is.
That's when owners are going to say, "Here are the keys, Mr. Banker."
Right. Do they want to destroy everybody's businesses? We want to get people back to work, but if people don't want their rooms clean and housekeepers are on board with not cleaning people's rooms who don't want rooms clean, then the room shouldn't get clean. Everybody needs to feel comfortable in order to get us back out on the road and traveling.
If New York didn't do it, and New York has got a very tough union and very competent union leadership, and if they didn't do it, it's because they understand the business part of it. And again, you're keeping housekeepers home, you're keeping people that would vacation home because there's no clean rooms for them to stay in because we're putting them out of order because we have nobody to clean them. Now, if you have 16 rooms, like another client of mine yesterday, she was talking to me, literally huffing and puffing, eating a hot dog and trying to run around the hotel. She goes, I have no housekeepers. So she sold out and cleaning all the rooms herself. So every single client I have, whether it's this big hotel, which is over 300, or a small hotel with 1,600 or 16 rooms, each one of those owners are dealing with this issue today.
Wow, that sucks. All right, let us know what you think in the comments section below, and we'll answer your questions. But we got to get to our guest, Chip Ohlsson, EVP, Chief Development Officer with Wyndham Hotels and Resorts.
Hold on. Tom Wilkinson asked, is the mandate only at guest request? No. At all. This is mandated by the government, where we're being told to clean every single room. And the hallways every 30 minutes, and banquet rooms that are empty every 30 minutes. It's absolutely insane. And it's a way for the union to justify their existence to their employees, which is understandable. And if I was a union leader, I would be doing the same thing unless it didn't make good business sense and would put my employees out of work long term. Because once that $600 goes away, what happens? Right. They don't have a job because the hotels, we're keeping a list of hotels that close. We have 4 so far in New York City.
Just New York City hotels. Right.
Yeah, they're just closing, not opening again. So you want that to happen, it's going to be a cluster.
All right, let's get to Chip, because I'm sure he's going to be thrilled to be joining us as we have this upbeat conversation here. Hey, welcome to the firing squad, Chip Ohlsson.
No kidding. Hi, Anthony, how are you guys doing?
Chip, you know what's so funny? I'm sorry, Chip. First, Chip had to endure me eating my banana off camera before we got on. Then he had to endure me trying to get my lighting right. Then I went off on tangents, and we were talking about nothing. And here you are. And then I go off on a tangent just now. And Chip, sorry about that.
All good.
Well, we're so glad to see you here today. You are, of course, our New Jersey resident, so this
I
probably comes as a surprise to you.
It does. I've been reading up on it and taking a look, but I didn't know anybody mandated it yet. So I was surprised when Anthony said that New Jersey's mandated as of today.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was told by the owner of a very big hotel in New Jersey that that I consult for, and he is one of the greatest entrepreneurs in New Jersey and one of the greatest entrepreneurs. And this guy's killing it, and he's trying to really get his businesses because he has a very big business as well, even a bigger business that he's trying to get going. And he's positive, and even when I was on the phone with him, he was very positive. But listen. I counted there were 500 rooms over a period of week that we have to put out of order because we can't get them cleaned. $500 times $200 a day gets that hotel where it needs to do to pay its bills. It's insane, absolutely insane.
I've always, like you said, Anthony, though, I'm always a do not disturb guy, right? Put it on the door before I leave. I don't have to worry about it.
Right. We were talking about our friend Bruce Ford before you got on air today.
Yeah.
And he was the one who got me involved in the magic of putting on that do not disturb thing. Because when I used to travel, it occurred to me, I don't need people coming in my room every single day. I don't like it.
And what you're doing by doing that, and I'm talking to everybody that's traveling right now, you're saving housekeepers' jobs. Because when this is all over, those hotels will still be open.
Right.
Okay. If this continues, those hotels will not open, and those housekeepers, when the $600 premium is gone, will not have a job.
Right, at the end of this month. So we're getting real close to crunch time, and some of these jurisdictions are going to have to figure out what they're doing in order to save the jobs that we have left. Everybody knows our industry has been crushed. Chip, you've been front and center for this. At least you have some good news coming out. We'll start the conversation with a brand new prototype for Microtel by Wyndham, the efficient Moda prototype, right? So it's all new construction. You rethought the brand?
Microtel has always been new construction, and it's always been about efficiency. What we realized at about a month or about a year ago, 2 years ago, is we said, you know what, we're seeing the cycle, we're seeing where we are in the cycle, and it's time to look at our brands and say, okay, what brand needs a refresh? What brand could benefit from the next cycle? And Microtel was it. It's an extended economy hotel. But it really operates in that mid-scale space, and it always has. So when you look at a brand like that, we said, how do we make it more efficient? How do we make it easier for builders to build? So we took the existing prototype that's out there, and we said, you know what? Let's take 30% of the cost out of that prototype. Let's make it more efficient. 70% of the entire building is used as rentable space. And so that's one of the highest in the industry, if not the highest in the industry out there. So we said, let's take the most efficient brand in the industry and make it more efficient and make it easier to build for our developers. Because as we come out of this cycle, as we look into the next cycle, what we want to see are people building hotels. As Anthony said, we want to create that demand out there for everyone. And if we can do that by building hotels, that's what Microtel's there for.
It's genius, and it couldn't be better timing. Was this started before COVID, or was it just starting?
No. Yeah, it was. We started it about 2 years ago, and then about a year ago, we launched the Moda prototype, and it has been so. At the end of the cycle, it's being received phenomenally because developers are smart people. They know where we are, and they said, you know what? We need to look at the next great thing. What is the next project that we need to build upon? And so when they were looking and researching it all, they came across Microtel, and we had the new prototype out there. And so we managed to get 80 projects into the pipeline before the COVID.
Wow!
And I'm sure there's your competition's looking at that model and going, oh, all right, let's get busy.
Yeah, and I think everybody. We say our competition, sometimes do people rest on their laurels? They have a great product that's out there working great. What do? We believe at Wyndham that if we take the advantage of the situation earlier and say, okay, let's have a forward-looking approach to it. How do we get ahead of the game? And so, looking at the economy segment, we said, this is the segment we think is going to take off. And we believe that we're going to be right on that at the end of the day. Yeah. And part of the rationale behind it was, as you guys know, we bought La Quinta a few years ago. And with the purchase of La Quinta, we inherited a great design and construction department. And so they were able to look at all our prototypes and say, hey, we can make these more efficient. We can make them more appealing to the roadside traveler because that La Quinta del Sol is probably one of the best prototypes out there. If you drive down an exit and you see that, it really pops and jumps off the exit. And we said, how do we do that for some of our other brands? So Microtel was the first one that we did that with.
All right. So when you're looking at reinventing something to take out the cost, what are some of the things that you came up with? What are some of the innovations? Because if I'm a developer, all of a sudden my interest has peaked, especially since the financial dynamics and the universe have pretty much changed.
Can I guess it's the breakfast room in the gym?
No, it's not the breakfast room in the gym. One of the big things
gym and breakfast room
was the exterior. When we looked at the exterior, we had a lot of cutouts, a lot of pop outs and things like that. And as you know, that's just extra square footage. It adds costs. And said, how do we streamline those costs? How do we get those costs down to be more manageable? And so one of the things we did is we took that out. And because of the way the design works now, and we hired some phenomenal designers, Hoffer Wysocki, came in and said, we can design this building to have that same appeal, even a more modern design to it, and make it more sexy for the traveler that comes out here, but take all those costs out. So really, the costs that we're taking out were just excess spaces out there that weren't being utilized. And that's why the building became more efficient. So it became more inexpensive to build. It became sexier for the consumer, and it made it more efficient.
Yeah, and if you want to see, if you want to see pictures of this, just go to novacancynews.com. It's a top news story right now, and you can see some of the photographs. Sorry to cut you off, Anthony.
Any way we can get Jeff to throw some photographs up right now? That'd be great.
I can bring it up. So just give me a second.
That's great that you're not taking away any amenity. You're not taking away any space from me.
No.
I won't even notice the space is gone.
No. And that's the beauty of what we did, right? We wanted to make it, you take 6 inches out of a guest room or 6 inches out of a bathroom. Sometimes that's noticeable. So you've got to be smart in your innovation, right? Because all of a sudden, where you're reaching for things, now you're banging into it. So we really built a model room out. We got to work with it and make sure that it was an efficient building.
Yeah, and especially 6 inches in the bathroom. 6 inches in the bathroom, you're cracking your head.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So that's great. And it's amazing that you guys had the foresight, pre-COVID, because that is absolutely 100% the model right now.
You know what? It is. And COVID is an absolute tragedy, what's happened to our industry out there. But we need to figure out ways to come out of this more efficient, a better organization and better brands. And so one of the ways you can do that is by making it more efficient. And that's one of the things that we did with this. And you were talking a little earlier, Anthony, about cleaning a guest room. This is probably the most efficient guest room to clean out in the industry. We have management companies out there that are averaging about 23 minutes to clean our guest room. And we believe that number is actually to come down with the prototype.
Right. Yeah. So here's a couple of pictures, very clean, very open. And I also, all of the viewers could out there see exactly what you were talking about by streamlining the shape of the building. Very nicely done.
And what I like about it, if we can go back to that room, the room, obviously it's Microtel, it's a little bit smaller, but I like the fact that when I go to sit down or I go to work on my desk, I'm not like moving things and changing things. That's where it is. That's where you go. And it's very efficient. And you're not having to, housekeepers aren't going to have to move desk back and have to move furniture back. And so that's where it also becomes very efficient. So
yeah, sorry guys. I'm just trying to.
And that's a perfect place where I want to sit and watch the TV. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
And removing a lot of the carpet, either using carpet tiles now, which are easy to replace, or using the laminate flooring out there.
Why would you use carpet tiles instead of laminate flooring? What's the thought of that?
So in corridors and things like that.
In the corridors.
Town transference.
All right, well, that makes perfect sense then to have it in that sense. I also love we've said a lot of times on the LVT flooring really creates a higher end experience, in particular with an economy type of product.
Right. But in your high areas, a lot of people were doing it in the foyer, but we're finding people were dropping their suitcases, and that was a high traffic area. If you could put carpet tiles in there to dull that sound a little bit, it made it a better guest experience. And that's one of the things you have to look at. You don't only look at it from a developer's perspective, but you have to look at it from a guest perspective also. So
your client, your business client, is the client that's usually paying the bill, right? They're an independent entrepreneur and they're paying the bill. One of our guests, actually, that I'm sending it to you right now, Glenn, wrote, what are your thoughts on business travel? When do you think it'll get back to normal levels? Now, we all have very, probably the same answers for that. But your business travel is a little bit different in the sense that it's usually not, a Midtown Manhattan business traveler. It's usually, the supervisor for the trucking company, things like that.
That's correct. That's correct. It's essential workers. When we look at it, we serve that core American customer, right? It's the guy that's out on the road every day. They have to be out on the road, right? Where a business traveler may be able to jump on and do a Zoom call. Most of our guests don't have that. Most of our business guests, I should say, don't have that ability. They have to be out on the road. They have to be meeting people, talking to people, fulfilling orders, doing those things. And so that core American guest is who we cater to. And that's why if you look at our portfolio, 85% of our hotels are drive-to hotels.
Right.
And so when we start talking about why we're not being heard as maybe some of the other companies out there, it's because that's our base business. That's our core.
Well, yeah, Chip. I mean, you take a look at what happened with the airlines yesterday. Only 540,000 travelers hit an airplane yesterday, as opposed to 2.447 million 1 year prior on that exact date.
In the last few weeks, it was going up, and now it's going back down.
Yeah, and that also might be partially because of what's going on in parts of the country, but also because Tuesdays are typically less traveled, I would say, than Mondays.
That's the slowest travel day. Yeah, usually Tuesday is the slowest travel day.
So, Chip, what is your occupancies looking like with Microtel and the other, like, what, or even as the company? What are your occupancies looking like?
Yeah, we've actually held pretty strong occupancies. We look at that break-even point for hotels, before debt service being about that 35% range. And the majority of our hotels are well above that right now. So we're continuing to see that. We have, well over half of our hotels are running 40, 50, 60% occupancies. When the beaches were open, all our properties along the beaches were doing phenomenal down in Florida, I should say.
Right.
But we're still seeing it in the Carolinas. We're seeing the Eastern Seaboard really hold up.
I'm going to ask a question that probably it's a little bit difficult to answer, but on one hand, we're hoteliers, we're business people. We're going to do the safety measures. We're going to have safe, clean. We're going to do the mask. We're going to do all that. The government's responsibility is to say, hey, this number's getting a little out of hand. Let's not maybe open these hotels, these restaurants, these bars. Okay, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to open everything, which is great. As business owners, we're going to open our hotels. We're going to be safe. We're going to take care of our guests in a very safe way. Did that hurt us? In retrospect.
Yeah, it depends on how you look at it, right? For me, from New Jersey, we shut down early, right? Everything shut down early. Yeah. We were all locked behind closed doors. I was joking with Glenn before. I said, I've been married 26 years. I've been in the hotel business that whole time, and I've never spent more than 2 weeks at home. After about the first month, my wife was giving me that look like, who are you and why are you still in my house? It's time for you to go. Yeah.
Anthony is begging for me to take him somewhere right now.
I've done no less than 200,000 miles for the last 10 years, and I'm on plane in 4 months. And it's I begged him yesterday. I said, let's go to a parking lot and open an envelope. Just give me a reason to go.
Yeah. But I think what we've discovered, I know our family has discovered, it is the core family values, right? Going back to that family and going back out on that road trip again and doing those things. And so while I think it hurt us initially, Anthony, that we didn't know what was doing. I had friends in Texas that were like, I don't understand what's going on up there. Like, we're out having drinks with my friends in the backyard. We're not going out to restaurants, but we're having drinks. I don't understand what's going on. Now they're seeing it, right? But because of that, people are still getting in the car. They're still traveling. It's one of the human truths, right? We need to be with people. We need to connect. We need to have that. We're nomads by nature. We need to be out on the road and doing things.
Yeah, so, this summer was going to be the road trip, and there's going to be the double road trip now, because now the people that were definitely going to get on a plane and say, "Yeah, I'm a road. I fly. I'm going to go. I don't care." Yeah. They're like, "Okay, I can't go now." So now I'm definitely doubled out. And the hotels that I can consult with, some of my hotels are so busy they can't keep up with the business.
And that's just it, right? We didn't close. We had over 90% of our hotels open during the pandemic, during the peak of the pandemic. And today we have over 99% of our hotels open and welcoming guests. And that's the important thing for us. So we want to make sure that we're there for the guests when they get back out on that road, that Wyndham is the brand that they think of, and then they come and enjoy a stay with us.
And not just Wyndham, but all of, I think when he says Wyndham, he means all the different brands. And for those of you that don't know, their whole family of brands, they've got La Quinta, which was mentioned, Wingate, Wyndham Garden, American, Ramada, Baymont, Trip, Dazzler, Microtel, which we're talking about, Days Inn, Super 8, Howard Johnson's and Travelodge, Hawthorne, Dolce, and of course, Wyndham Grand. And then I'm sure I missed some stuff too. You probably made an acquisition while I was doing that list.
So, Chip, something that I've always been curious about and probably got me thinking about hotels when I was a kid. I'm driving and we stay at Howard Johnson's, And we know that Howard Johnson's had a troubled past, and now it's come back bigger and better. So talk to me about the Howard Johnson brand, which was really one of the first road brands and really the brand that I grew up with, remembering, and kind of probably one of the reasons I got in the hotel business, because we stayed at so many, going back and forth to Florida. Where is that brand right now?
Yeah, look, Howard Johnson, the father of franchising, right? And Glenn and I have gone down this rabbit hole because we both grew up in the Northeast, so we were both, Howard Johnson kids.
Anytime I hear Howard Johnson, I think of the restaurant and all you can eat fish and clam night.
Yeah, Times Square.
Ice cream, baby. And every birthday, that's where I went. I went to the Howard Johnson, and I got to all you can eat, which was
such a treat.
So how do you bring that brand back? How does that brand come back?
So the brand has actually performed exceptionally well for us. It's been positioned in the economy segment. But again, when you look at Howard Johnson, you look at the sites that they've had up and down the Eastern Seaboard and across out to Texas. They're the best sites at the best locations. And so that brand was able to capitalize on that, right? And we continue to see that brand emerge and get stronger and stronger as we go through this, because people remember right now, that's what people are remembering, right? When the pandemic first hit, everybody talked about comfort foods, right? Everybody needed to have those comfort foods, meatloafs and pot pies and all that. We're going, well, it's the same thing with brands, right? Days Inn, Super 8, Howard Johnson. Those are the brands that we all grew up with, that we all traveled to and from Florida with, from the Northeast or out in the Midwest. It was Super 8 that did all that. People are remembering that. And so it's important to have a clean quality brand out there for people to travel in. And so that's what we've managed to do over the past 2 years, 5 years with Howard Johnson. We have a renew package out there. And so we renewed the guest rooms. We made them retro. So if you stay at a Howard Johnson now that did the renew package, which majority of the hotels have, you have that cool retro feel. You remember the bright oranges and the blues and some of the cool lamps and mirrors and things like that. And we were able
from a marketing standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, you remember Howard Johnson when you were a kid, then you remember it had a tough time, 20 years ago. Yep. And now maybe you have a different image of Howard Johnson. So maybe when I'm looking, I go, oh, I'm not stopping there. How do you, from a branding standpoint and market standpoint, get someone like me when I'm going back to Florida to stop at Howard Johnson that may not remember, I just remember maybe the bad press it got for 20 years.
Yeah. Well, it starts with great ownership, right? So when we franchise with some of our owners, we're making sure we have the right owner in the right marketplace. And that's the important thing. And then we provide a clean, comfortable hotel, and then we put it under our umbrella of brands. One thing that I always I talk about now is people are realizing for the first time that how important diversity portfolio of brands is. Everybody said, I'm going to build in the upper mid, I'm going to build in the upscale, I'm going to stay in that marketplace. It's going to be great. Well, right now they're realizing, God, I wish I had some roadside properties. I wish I was in the economy segment. I wish I was in the mid-scale segment. And so we're seeing developers now come back to us for the first time and say, hey, I've built with company X, Y, or Z, but I need to diversify that. I've diversified my portfolio in life, my financial portfolio, but now I need to do it with my brands and my hotel portfolio. So we do that. So when we tuck you into our portfolio of brands, it puts you under Wyndham Rewards, which is our loyalty program, award-winning loyalty program. People now get to experience those where maybe you wouldn't take a chance. You don't know it. You don't remember it. You're not sure what it is. Now you can use points to go out there and stay, or you can drive up and down the road and you recognize the sign and you see a brand new building out there.
I just saw one. I don't know where I was. I was driving to the Adirondacks, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there was a Howard Johnson on my way. Is there one up there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Lake George has one still up there. So yeah, we have
it was brand new. It was a brand new one. And I love the colors, and the colors popped. And I was, I got to stay there.
And that was the important thing for us, right? With all of our brands, quality is very important to us, and getting people to spend money in the hotels and spend in the right way. And I think that's what happens during these times, right? During challenging times, it's important to partner with a brand. It's important to partner with a company that understands the challenges you're going through and have experienced it before, so you don't make those mistakes again. And so we believe Wyndham is the brand, and it's not just us, right? Mm-hmm. We were talking about JP and Bruce Ford, Lodging Econometrics. They actually said the same thing. They said they believe Wyndham's positioned better than any other company right now to work with and welcome our guests during this pandemic.
So where are we now with the pandemic's getting even worse? We're in political, we're right there. The election's coming up. We're right there. We're right in the political heat. So we know things are going to be done and said because of politics. Where people are now not being able to come to New York unless they quarantine for 14 days and vice versa.
And
yeah. And so where are we a year from now? I mean, in your opinion, I mean, imagine you think about this a lot. I mean, if 3 months from now, I don't think we're in a good place. In a year from now, I want to know where we are.
Right. And so that's when we talk about, so I'm in development, right? So I have to look at things very forward looking. I have to look at, signing a deal today. What does that mean tomorrow? What does it mean the next day? What does it mean 18 months from now if you build a hotel? How does that work? So I'm looking at today, right? News was announced today that one of the companies' vaccine looks like it's going to be out fourth quarter, early Q1, which will help this industry, as we all know, right?
What was that? I missed that, Chip. What was
a vaccine.
Yeah.
Coming hopefully at the end of the year.
It was actually, they did a small test, a human sample, and 100% came back that the antibodies fought off the disease. So things like that make the market jump. Well, it makes my heart flutter too, because if you're going to take it, if you're going to be in the best position to welcome guests a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, right? You've got to start planning your hotels now and building hotels today. Yeah, there it is, Moderna. So in order to,
it's only in phase 1.
Yeah, but they're fast tracking all this, right? So it's going to be fast tracked. They believe that what the announcement today was, they believe it's January as far as that. So if that's the case, people now need to plan, how do we come out of this cycle? How do I plan to come out of this cycle? How am I going to be best? Before, look, it was great times in this hotel space. We all know that, right? You open the doors. You're an independent hotel. You open your doors. You were filling up with business because everybody was busy. Now you're opening your doors, and maybe as an independent, you're a little more challenged. So now you say, you know what? I better partner with a brand. I want to keep my independence, but trademark might be the best opportunity for me to get that loyalty program, to get the marketing programs, to get all that.
And just so people know, trademark is a soft branded product. So you are able to retain some of your decision making. You don't have to get all in with the brand, but you can still get the benefits of being in a major reservation system.
And I imagine, I remember the recession 2008, and I said, right before we're coming out of it, I said, watch what happens. Okay, watch. You're going to see 75% of sales managers in New York City disappear. Like, what do you mean? I said the recession is going to basically, they're not coming out of it because they weren't ready, and they didn't know how to do cold calling. Exactly. So I'd imagine with owners, you're kind of seeing the same thing, that those owners that are real hoteliers that really understand and love this business, like, okay, this is just another thing in my life that I have to deal with. This is bad, but let's go. But then there's other owners going, and then there's other owners going, Chip, this is all your fault.
No, we don't have that. Luckily, we haven't had that, but they have called up and said, what do we do? Right. And the good news for our ownership was, we've been through this, right? We were through 2008. We were through 93 back when it happened. The early 2000s when it happened. Now this is a deeper, this is deeper than what we've had before. But because we've done that, we use our best practices. And don't forget, we have over 9,000 hotels out there. We talk to our owners on a daily basis. We find out what's working in some markets, what isn't in some. So when our hotels in Texas are calling us now saying, what do we do? We're talking to our people in New Jersey, New York, Connecticut that experienced it already and say, here's how you get your business. Here's what you do. We look at backyard business is one of the things we like to say. In your local marketplace, how are you getting that business? Before, you didn't need that business, right? You had enough travelers coming into your market to do it. And so maybe you ignored that business. Well, we know where that is. We know how the universities out there are now looking at hotel rooms and saying, hey, we want to put some of our students into those hotel rooms. We know how to get the essential trucker and everybody else that's driving into your marketplace and get them to stay at your hotel. The nurses, the doctors that are coming in to help out and say, this hospital is having a spike. How do we get out there? We have those contacts and those relationships that we can put them in our hotels and help you stay busy during your peak, because the peak is going to be different all across the country.
Right. Just as we've seen with what's been going on with this virus. Us here in the Northeast are doing much better. We're starting to get back to lives, albeit slightly adjusted, while other parts of the country are coming to a
screeching halt. We're starting to, all of us are starting to go like, oh, okay, the restaurant's open, overlooking the ocean. Let's go out there on the deck. I'm not going inside, but we'll go on the deck. And and Glenn saw me the other day, or talked about it yesterday. We saw each other at the Garden City Hotel, and I went in ready to see him and be excited. And within 10 minutes, tell him what I look like, Glenn.
He looked even worse than he does now.
I was a nervous wreck.
Yeah, it was really weird to see a world traveler get a little freaked out by the notion of traveling and maybe getting.
I think you're going to see a lot of the staycations, right? You're going to see people dipping their toe in the water and maybe going a few hours from home just to get away. And look, we've been quarantined in the Northeast, especially, right? We've been quarantined. You know, I was talking to the family the other day, and we all said we need to go out and go somewhere. And we said, let's jump in the car and let's go out and experience just staying somewhere different and you know, just walking around outside. I don't need to be inside, but I don't need to have a restaurant and sit down and have a meal in the restaurant. But if I can do it outside, or I can get takeout with the family and have a picnic in a park or something like that, that's what we're going to do. So we're seeing that business come back quicker, right? Leisure business is coming back at a much more rapid pace than the.
I heard the Borgata is opening soon. I heard
The 26th.
Yep.
Well, let's all meet down there.
Hey, I could be right down there. You know, I'm in New Jersey, but I grew up down at the Jersey Shore.
Me and Glenn are working on getting there for the opening day.
Yeah.
Yeah, they opened everything on July 11th, I think. Atlantic City opened back up to a limited crowd.
Yeah.
Yes,
Except
the 10th and
Borgata.
11th. Except Borgata. They were like, we're not going to bother to open with the no smoking, drinking, food, or fun rule that they had.
There's going to be a sign, no fun for anyone.
Yeah.
No fun for anyone.
Excellent. Chip, you've been on longer than we were promised to have your time. Anything else that you want to add before we let you go? And I'm serious, we should have you back maybe when we're doing a live show somewhere as well.
Yeah, I'd love to do. You know that, Glenn. Anything you do, but I think it's important that we all realize that we're in a cycle, right? It's a pandemic. It's a challenging time for all of us, but we need to find that normalcy, right? We need to get back to what we do, and travel is one of those important things that we do. And so, as I said earlier, Wyndham's here to welcome you, and we look forward to, you know, whether you're going an hour away from home, whether you're going around the corner, or whether you're taking a road trip 8 to 10 hours, or have to jump on a plane. You know, we want to be there from you. We have our count on us culture with cleanliness of the rooms. We take that very seriously, and we'll make sure that when you arrive, you're greeted from 6 feet away. You have hand sanitizers, and you have a clean guest room, and you enjoy your stay and get back to some of that little bit of normal that you searched for.
You know, listen, I think honestly, hotel rooms are the safest place to be once you're sanitized. I mean, they're probably cleaning the most.
I agree.
Like, you know, like right now, we don't let anybody in my house, right? But if I was letting people in and out of my house to have dinner, or even friends, you know, my daughter's friends come in and out of my house, it may not be a safe place. I don't know.
Honey, you got that fogger courtesy of Almo Hospitality. So you just spray the sanitizer.
So hotels, we know that this is a moment in time that if we don't get this right, we're gonna have a big problem. So,
and they're professionals, right? They come in when they come in to clean a room, they're professionals. They know what to do, and we have protocols in place to make sure that you have a clean room.
People call me every day, friends of mine. Hey, I'm going to National Park. I'm going here. I'm going to the beach. Should I stay at a hotel? Should I stay at Airbnb? I was like,
I'd rather stay at a hotel.
No,
not even a question.
Hotel.
Not even a question.
Right.
Agreed.
Chip, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate your time. Continue. Good luck to you on the new prototype and everything else. Take care. So that was pretty awesome. I love Chip Ohlsson. Really one of the great guys in the business.
Yeah, man, you know everybody, buddy.
I talk about knowing somebody. I've got somebody that I know you are going to freaking love. You've never met him before. My friend, Calvin Stovall. Calvin Stovall, welcome to the show, my friend.
What's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, Calvin, you and I are in trouble because I've been seeing, like, you wrote a comment in the private chat, and I'm like, oh boy, if me and him start talking about this, Glenn's going to.
All right, so Calvin, I totally warned Anthony about how much he's going to love you, because I love you. Your positive energy is infectious, and it's one of those things in this time of darkness that we've been going through. You always remain so positive in your life and in your teaching, with trying to create this iconic system that's helping people and companies become, well, iconic. So how do you do it? How do you stay so positive?
Man, I'm good, man. I'm doing wonderful. I've been, out here, just like dealing with a lot of things the hotels are dealing with, with the downturn in business. But I'm having to pivot some stuff too. So I'm in the game and in the trenches with people as well. And Anthony, I think we're missing one person. Where's the great Gazoo, man?
Oh, he's here.
Hey, I was looking for him.
You can't see him. Only I can see him. If you missed our show yesterday, I was saying that I'm getting in a headspace where I need the great Gazoo was a Flintstone character. When I was a kid, I used to talk to him like Fred Flintstone did. And didn't you see me before you came on? I bent over. I was talking to him. He was right here. I was like, hey. Only I can hear. But Calvin, tell people what you do.
Well, I'm actually focusing on, I deliver dynamic keynote presentations, training, and so forth to help organizations either maintain or attain iconic status. And I've come up with an iconic framework. It's actually what I call the 4 P's of iconicity. I know that's a tough word to pronounce, but there's
iconicity?
4 P's. Iconicity.
I like that.
Iconicity. So, and those 4 P's are purpose, which purpose is huge, particularly with brands and things of that nature. You want to find what's different and authentic about you. The second one is people. That's all about connection. That's connecting with not only your customers, but your internal customers, talking about your employees. If you happen to run a business, I'm sure most of the hotels are on the line and they have people that they're responsible for. Third is passion. Passion is something that you cannot buy. You got to own it, live it, and love it. And last but not least, it's the last P, which is perseverance, which is about staying forward thinking and making sure that you're continually sharpening your tools and resources and making sure that you're staying relevant. So those are the 4 Ps. I usually and typically talk about those from a brand perspective, but I think even as a leader of an organization or a leader of a team, these same 4 things will apply. These 4 Ps are still applicable.
Okay, Calvin, you and me are in the same lane. That's why he knew that I would love you. Okay, so Calvin, I'm going to give you a tough one, man. I'm going to give you
all right.
I'm a young 22-year-old African-American male going into the hospitality business. Social unrest in this country is at its peak. It's been in a long time. The economy we all know where that is. We have COVID. So I walk out my door and it's a mess. What do you say to that specific person that's that wants to go into the hospitality business or wants to go into the service business and is a young African-American woman or man right now? What do you tell that person?
Well, you know what? That is a tough question, Anthony. And I think regardless, I know with the the racial tension and all of that going on, it's probably even more challenging to talk about this. But regardless of the color of your skin, I think in this industry, particularly if you're a young person, you got to tell them this. My mama used to always tell me, man, this too shall pass. And the thing is, right now, it may be tough, but it will get better. We will get around this curve. And right now is the time to focus on what can you do as a person? This is the purpose thing that I talk about, that first P. What is it that you're passionate about? What can you bring to the industry? And what's unique about you? You need to tell your story. You need to have your story together because it's going to be competitive out there trying to get jobs. You have a lot of people out there looking for a job right now. You have to find out what's unique about you and what you can bring to that organization. So once you know that purpose, you have that passion, and you know how to connect those things, you're going to stand out.
But Calvin, I came, when I didn't grow up with a silver spoon, the whole nine, my single mother, all that. Okay. And one of the things that I didn't have, and I worked really hard for everything I had. I've worked 18 hours a day a week for everything. But the one thing I didn't have to deal with was you and I coming up in business. One thing I didn't have to come in, you and I went up for a meeting. We went in for an interview, right? We're both even. Maybe I get the job because I'm white and you're black. How do you tell a black guy today or woman if they're going into an interview and they feel that they were not fairly treated because of the color of skin, or they're seeing things that they don't like? How do you keep them positive? Because I'm sure in your career, in your life, you have dealt with that.
Absolutely.
So I need for people to understand, how do you keep that positivity?
Man, you got to keep going. I mean, you just got to keep going. That P, that perseverance, man. You can't. That is it. I mean, I'm just like you, Anthony. I grew up in the housing projects on the north side of Chicago in Cabrini Green, man. I know what it's like. It's hard, it's tough, and it's challenging. And particularly being an African American, and particularly now, it's going to be even harder. But you got to keep yourself. It's a mindset. I believe it's a mindset.
Well, how did you break out of that life?
That mindset.
Transform yourself, that mindset, man. Because I could see people in the projects. They're saying beaten down emotionally by the system, cast adrift by society in a lot of ways. How did you personally put all of that aside to get to be so freaking awesome and successful?
That's right. Of course, my mom played a significant role, but my dad was there as well. I was fortunate to have both parents there. But I'm gonna tell you what really helped me is that I had people that cared. I had people that helped pull me up. So They were white. I had a black woman, a couple of black women, and I've also had a couple of white males that actually helped me climb the ladder.
So give me the moment, Calvin, give me the moment where you were like, this is about me. Excuses. I hate excuses. I know you hate excuses. I don't have to ask you that question. Excuses. You want to give me an excuse, you're going to have a long day. So we don't like excuses, but there was a moment in your life. There was a moment. I want to know about it.
You want to know that moment? That moment was actually when I got out of high school. I didn't go immediately to college. So I was actually went to a vocational school, and I actually was majoring in architectural drawing. And I wanted to be an architect at one time. So I was actually working for an engineering company, working as kind of trying to become a draftsman. And that was going to be my trade moving forward. But that moment came when I realized that drafting just wasn't my thing. Actually, a friend of mine told me, man, sitting at a desk drawing, it just doesn't seem like you. Your personality is just too crazy and you need to get in something else. And so I actually looked into the hospitality industry. And that's when I ran into a lady named Karen Sock. And Karen actually was teaching at this school called Echoes International Hotel School. So I actually went to that school during the evenings, and I met Karen as an instructor, and she ended up hiring me as a front desk clerk at a Holiday Inn in Chicago downtown city center. And she actually was the one that catapulted me to the next level. She pushed me to finish school. I actually ended up going to night school at Chicago State University to get my undergraduate, but it was really her. She talked about my personal branding and all of those things to help me get to a better place. So she helped. And also I had somebody that was also at the company, the engineering company I was too. Her name was Gloria Cook. And she also was pushing, and of course my mom as well. But the thing was that there were people there that actually helped build me as a brand and helped me really understand what was going to be, I guess you would say, acceptable in the corporate world. Because I had the Jerry curls, I had the
80s, right?
When I had hair, I had Jerry curls too.
Hey, I had the curl, man. I had the leather tie, man, with the jacket with the big, shirt, man. I was the man, okay. But there was things that there's things you can do, that you just have to make some changes, not to change you personally as a person, but we all know that first impressions are lasting impressions. And she really focused on that first impression is important to you. So
I learned that from the Head and Shoulders commercial in 1975.
Okay.
You never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it was her, and of course,
sorry, Anthony's been bald so long he has no idea.
No, I said when I had hair, I had Jerry curls.
I totally missed that.
Yeah. So I mean, it's almost like, and so to go back to your question, Anthony, I think really, of course, it's a mindset, but the thing is, you want to really what I'm trying to say is you want to try to find an advocate or a mentor or somebody that can help guide you through. And because I don't think my success, of course, did not come alone. I had a lot of people along the way that cared enough for my success, and they were there. But
but what happens is, I always talk about moments, right? In my speech,
right.
Moments. It's like we have that moment and we're like, I'm going to do this. And all of a sudden that moment's gone. And then like 10 years from now, it's like, oh, I wish I would have met that person. Well, guess what? If you took that moment, you would have met that person, that met that person, that met that person.
Exactly.
And you would have met that person.
Exactly.
How do you get that into people's heads? Because there's so many times, even knowing Glenn, there's so many things that I do in my career, even now, or especially now. And I'm like, let me get the DNA of what's happening. And I go back and go, oh crap, that's the second I met Glenn, who introduced me to that guy, who introduced me to that guy. Now I'm flying across the country or the world because I met Glenn.
Yeah.
And I'm still stuck here in Smithfield.
But you're right. You got to take advantage of the opportunities when they come. And that was one thing that I did. And like now, I know a lot of people right now, particularly in this situation with this pandemic, a lot of people have a lot of downtime. This is the time you can either complain about it or you can use it in a productive way. And I say you use the time in a productive way.
Well, that's a good point, Calvin, because you say complain about it and excuses. Now, listen, if you're a black man in this country, you have a lot of excuses. If you're a white man in this country, you have a lot of excuses. May not have many, but everybody has excuses, right?
Right.
Excuses, and that's why I asked it, and that's why I dug right into that, and that's why I think Glenn knew I would love you, because we got to say the hard questions, and life is hard.
It is.
No one gives a shit. Like you got to move, because if you don't move, they're just going to pat you and go, "Oh, pathetic little Anthony."
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't make it. You didn't make it through COVID. Your business didn't make it. Oh, too bad, little Anthony. No one gives a shit.
Yeah. You know, I love that because really the thing is that's why I'm saying you gotta. It's all mindset. How you see things, how you visualize things, and you can either sit back and wait. We know what's going to happen there. Or you take action, nothing, or you start taking action and moving forward, doing something where you're seeing that you're completing something.
And you know what happens, Calvin? I'll tell you when it happens. It happens when you are moving, and then you have that downtime in an airport, and you take that 10 minutes in an airport, and all of a sudden you turn around, and somebody goes over to you and go, "Hey," and you start talking, and you're like, all of a sudden you just made another business connection because you were out, you were moving, you were trying to be successful, and all of a sudden that's when it happens, when you're out there and you're not expecting it. So you may not be driving. I always say, Norman Lear, the great TV producer, said one day on a TV show that I've stated that is my favorite. You know, have your passion, and the world will conspire for your success. Put your thoughts out there in the atmosphere, and the world will conspire for your success. And as you're moving and shaking, that's when the things happen.
It does. It's not going to happen with you being stagnant. That's why I love that last P, that perseverance, and that the passion one before that, because you got to have them both. You got to be passionate and you want to do something out there. Yeah, I could sit back. Hey, look, all my speaking gigs dried up. As you could imagine, nobody's having meetings.
All our speaking gigs dried up.
It dried up. It's dead. I mean, you know, but you know what? I'm not happy about that. But you know what I said? I'm gonna use this time to do something different. I launched a new podcast called The Iconic Mindset with another friend of mine. Cool. I've actually, you know, started working with an organization to help build my marketing strategy better, to tighten some things up on my website. You know, starting to write a book. I mean, so I'm not sitting back waiting. I'm reaching out to customers that I've done some things with.
I want to be on your podcast, Calvin.
I would love to have you, Anthony, you know, but you can't sit back. And that's what I've been telling people, you know, even hotels. Yeah, you can't wait on customers. Be proactive. Start calling those people. Don't let more customers fall through, jump off the boat.
You know,
reach out to them, call them, talk to them.
And I even say to people, it happened with me. I had to get back to working out because I was losing my mind. So if you right now you're lost, right? You're like, I don't know which way to go. I don't know if I should write a book or podcast. Then you know what? Say to yourself, I'm going to run a marathon. Say to myself, you're going to run a 5K. Put something in your life that is structured and important that you have to touch every day, that you have to think about every day. And this podcast, and we've talked about this, has been our touchstone, mine and Glenn's touchstone.
Yes.
We're both working on a lot of things, but the one thing that we know we can consistently depend on is at 12 o'clock, we're here. And that is really important, because those days where we aren't feeling bad, or those days where maybe things aren't going as well as they should be, we know we're going to come and we're going to do this podcast, and it's going to be fun.
Yes. And that's and I love that. You want to have something to look forward to. And I was talking to somebody else the other day, and they were like, I just feel so like I'm not doing it. I just feel lost. Just like you just talked about. I'm like, you need something to do. You need a project or something that you can complete and see it to the end. Right. So you can have a sense of accomplishment. But you wanted something that you're passionate. This is the time to do something that you always said that you were going to do and you didn't do it. Right. You got time. You have time.
So you have to get your. Oh, you know what, Calvin? I just realized Glenn's still here. Yes,
yeah,
Glenn.
I know. I was about to write you a note, like, dude, I knew you'd like each other, but I feel like the third wheel all of a sudden.
We're having a love fest, Glenn.
Calvin, you're talking about perseverance. We've been using the word stamina an awful lot on this show. Some days it feels so difficult. The weight of the world is on our shoulders, and that needing of stamina is so hard to achieve and maintain. What do you do in order to keep things moving, even when it just seems so dark and depressing on some days?
Yeah, you know what, Glenn? That's a tough one, though. But you know what? We're not built to carry all that. Our bodies are not built to carry all that weight. Mm-hmm. So it's just not. We're not strong enough to do it. So you might as well let go. Stop thinking you can have all that control, because you do not have all that control, and start focusing on something that's more positive. So I'm going to keep saying mindset. Go work out. You got to clear your mind of all of that, and and stay off that social media news all the time.
Oh God, yeah.
That stuff will drive you nuts. Hearing all those negative numbers, social media, watching all that stuff, it's going to impact your inner. It's going to impact your inner spirit. So be careful. I mean, you need to know what's going on, but you got to have a balance.
So give me a moment in the last few months where you're walking around your house and you're having that 20-second movie play in your head, and that movie, which is usually Calvin's on stage and he's pounding and he's doing his thing, and you're like, this isn't working out, and all my things dried up, and this really sucks. Tell me that moment, and then what you did in that moment to say, asshole, get with it. Like, how do you get yourself to the next level?
Hey, man, because you know what? I think about it this way. I'm not in this alone. There's a lot of people dealing with this. So my situation isn't special. It's not just Calvin, oh my God, it's just your speaking gigs. I have a lot of speaking colleagues, man, and they're in the same boat I'm in. Yep. So, you know, and the thing is that the hotels are in it. I have friends that are furloughed that don't even have a job right now, and they're searching. So look, hey, am I happy about it? Hell no, I'm not happy about it. But am I going to deal with it? Absolutely. What can I do to at least keep my mind in a positive state? And what I do, sometimes I'll be honest with you. I'll go back and read some of the old comments from some of my speeches to get positive affirmation. Good. Because, you know, and I'll read it and then I'll get back on the game, you know, and I was like, I can't give up now because I still have people out there to help and inspire and motivate.
And do you feel because things were good and things were going in the right direction, and you know the economy and hotels and everything was going well, and me and Glenn couldn't keep up with it. I mean, we were on the plane every day. And do you feel almost like, well, yeah, this is why I'm built this way. This is why I'm the guy getting on the stage. This is why I'm the guy talking about mindset. Yeah, like this is happening. You know, it's almost
absolutely
like that, right.
Right. I would be a hypocrite if I said, have a positive mindset, go out there and do the best that you can do, have passion, all of those things that I talk about. And then you call me and I'm like, oh God. Now I'm telling you, I have days too. I have bad days.
Yeah,
well.
we definitely
do. We're on.
And Anthony and I sometimes Anthony and I need to pick the other up. Right. Yeah. Because exactly. some days the weight is much heavier on us than others. So one quick note, tell Calvin to say hello to my old GM, Tom Murray. Great to hear and see you.
Oh, good. I sure will.
And then also Juliana Clabb says, can you speak to my 17-year-old? He's feeling the pressure of the world on his shoulders.
Hey, look, I would love to. Just reach out to me. I'm at iconicpresentations.net or Calvin@iconicpresentations.net. Just send me an email. I love to talk to young people and would love to help in any ways I can.
Talk to that 17-year-old that feels like the way this shows, because I have 3 girls, twins are 20, my baby's 18, and they're feeling it. We're all feeling it. But we know, like, we've been here. We have some kind of, we've never been here, but we had 9/11, we had recessions, we've had death, we've had cancer, we've had all kinds of stuff in our lives that we had to deal with. So we have a little bit more of a treasure chest of pain, if you will, to deal with this stuff. They don't. So what do you say to that 17-year-old? And I hear a lot from my friends that they're 17, 18-year-olds. They feel desperate. What do you say to that person?
Well, Anthony, I have a 10 and a 12-year-old, 2 boys. So
adorable, who are adorable, by the way. I've been watching them grow up. It's amazing. Yeah,
Caden and Carson. So I mean, the same thing is it's a mindset. What I try to really instill in my boys and try to is that they're special. They have gifts, and you know, the world needs the gifts that they have. And so that 17-year-old, again, like I would tell an adult, you need to find something to focus on and have a positive mindset. What can you do now that will help you in the future? And again, you can't sit back and wait for people to do things for you. You got to step out there, even if it's getting a summer job, even if it's you know, reading a book and helping your self-help books. There's so many things. And I know young people love to do things online. There's so much to learn out there. So easy ways to download classes, courses, resources, everything that you can do to help motivate you and get you become a better person. This is for young people. This is the time. Sharpen your axe, man. See what you can do to make your brand better.
I got a question for you, Calvin. So we were talking about stamina before, but the other problem that we've had in society that's been built up, I'd say, for the last 20, 25 years is that notion of instant gratification. That's an impossibility now if you want to make great achievements in your life, right? Anthony didn't just wake up one day and be offered a TV show. Right. I didn't just build a business on my own. How do you get people out of that mindset of, I want it, you know, that Veruca Salt thing. I want it now, Daddy. I want it now, to be able to really understand that these things take time, and success isn't measured in minutes or months, but sometimes years.
Yeah, and that is something to challenge. I mean, and I know the millennial generation, they get a bad rap, and
they do.
And I think when I was young, man, I was eager too. I wanted stuff fast. I wanted to be a vice president quick and all of that. But you know what? Life comes at you fast, and it takes time. And so the only thing that I try to do is try to instill, at least in my boys and anybody else I talk to, it's going to take time. Again, that perseverance, you got to keep on plugging away. You will get there. It just is going to take you time. Yes, right. There's some overnight success stories out there, and it does happen if your family.
I've never met an overnight success story in my life.
It doesn't. It just
they all happen after 20 years of putting in hard work.
Absolutely.
One of the things that I think is important, and I'm sure you're a fan of this, and I want to hear your insight because people are giving us great comments. They love you, and they want to hear more of it. So my question for you is, I always say, and it's hard for me, but I've learned to do it, to be kind to yourself.
Yes.
So where's the moment where you realize, hey man, I gotta be kinder to myself. I gotta get away from my kids. I gotta get away from the business. Gotta get away from my family, and I just gotta be a little kind to myself right now. I need that 10 minutes so when I get back to my kids and I get back to everybody, I'm a little bit nicer and I'm kind. Like yesterday, I'll share a personal experience. I've been really good at trying to keep myself like not, having those moments that you use when I'm stressed. So So me and my daughter are driving somewhere. We're going to the doctor. She got to get a physical for college, and where we get a flat, and she's driving the car. And I go, babe, go a little slower. And we're going slow enough because, babe, it's a run flat. But if you run it too fast, it's going to damage my wheel, and it's going to be $1,500 because it's an expensive car. So please don't do that. And she doesn't understand it because she's never been in this situation before, and she's still going a little too fast. She's like, babe, she goes, why don't you drive that? It's okay. So she's about to make a right turn. I go, babe, no, just pull over here because if you make that right turn, I got to do it. I'm saying to myself, I have to go another 3 blocks before the tire shop. It's going to be more. So anyway, I yelled. And I said, just turn over. And she literally for a day was like affected. I was like, babe, what's the matter? Like hours later, she goes, you yelled at me. And I've been apologizing every single day. And I always say I never apologize because I don't have anything to apologize for. If I'm upset or I say something to you, it's because I mean it. I'm not going to apologize for it.
Right.
That pressure of that moment of having to deal with the flat, not so much deal with the flat tire, but like, I don't want to have to spend another $2,000 for no reason.
Absolutely.
Like this could be avoided. Right. And instead of trying to explain to her rationally, I let myself, go. And I've been really proud because I haven't done that. And so I had to go and be kind to myself the last day or so. I had to go work out more. I had to go to the beach, and I had to say, hey, Anthony, this is not about your daughter. This is not about the tire. Chill. So how do you do that?
That is the thing. You recognized it. Gee, Anthony, you know yourself, man. And the thing is, you recognized when you were not Anthony. And so, and that's and I have those moments too. And I spend time. Hey, look, when I get up, of course, I fix my bed, but I spend time. I'm a spiritual guy, so I do spend some time reading. I'm not read the Bible all the time, but I do get Bible verses, read them, and try to find meaning in it and absorb that. And then I spend some time. I still work out. So I have moments and times where I have to get away. So you just have to find it. You have to carve that time out and hold it for yourself.
And be kind to yourself.
You got to be kind to yourself. Eat right, and I have my occasional double cheeseburgers. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not doing that all the time. But you got to take care of yourself.
And that's really important, especially now. One of the things that people are talking about when they talk about COVID and all that stuff, they're not talking. I wish the health professionals out there would be talking more about that, like eating healthier. Doing something to strengthen your immune system. Taking your every day. I'm taking my D vitamin now, and I'm eating a little bit cleaner. I can't get away from the Italian ices, but I'm starting to.
I love those too.
That is important to your overall, not only health and hopefully, God forbid, if you get it, you're in better shape, but also to your mental health.
Exactly. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get into biking. That's my next goal.
Nice.
So I'm going to get me a nice bike. I'm going to put some money into it, and I'm going to start riding around. So
yeah,
I think that's it looks interesting to me.
Where do you live?
I'm actually in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. I actually live in Mooresville, North Carolina, where most people probably don't even know what it is. It's probably 30 minutes north of Charlotte. But there's a lot of areas where you can bike ride and things of that nature. It's beautiful out here. So I want to take advantage of that. So I agree with you. You have to take care of your temple. Take care of your temper.
Right. So
Take care of your mind.
I've got one question, and then producer Jeff wants to come on and share something with us. So question: any thoughts on how to gain a person's confidence on the phone when they're supposed to come in for an interview? I had 5 candidates for housekeeping, but none of them ever showed up for a meeting.
Wow. Well, you know, the people that didn't show up, you don't want them anyway. Yeah, I wouldn't. Don't lose sleep over that, because obviously they weren't interested in the role. But when if you're going for an interview yourself, if I'm reading the question properly, if you are the person going in for the interview and you have to do it over the phone, there is something on your voice that carries. I say your smiling voice, and be passionate about what you're trying to convey to the interviewer. You don't want to be nonchalant, because if you're nonchalant, there's going to probably be, trust me, there's probably so many people trying to get that job that the person, the interviewer, is probably losing their mind.
Daniel is actually saying it's just the opposite. He keeps talking to people, but nobody's actually coming in for the interview. So he's left without being able to fill his staff. What can Daniel do as a general manager of a hotel to imbue confidence in people that they know that this is a great person to work for and this is a good organization and I should get off my butt and come in and do it?
Calvin, I'm gonna kind of help with this question. We're gonna both, because I don't think it's a fair question right now, and I'll tell you why. There's a $600 stimulus that we talk about.
Yeah,
right.
Unemployment. So you're telling them come to work and clean these rooms for less money. So what I would say right now, and I agree with everything Calvin said, plus what I would say is, listen, this is how much you're making. Okay. Right. This is, we've actually increased it a little bit because they probably have. And you may make more money if you stay out. However, you have a great work environment. You will have a job after July when the stimulus goes away. And so you don't have to take this job. And if I were you, I'd have to think about it too. But you know what? I'm going to treat you fairly. You're going to be paid fairly. And when this stimulus is over, you're still going to have a job. That's what I would say to them.
That is exactly what I would say. That I wouldn't say anything else. That's when you have to, if you're the organization, that's when you sell your story. It has to be about more than money. And I know when you're a housekeeper and in your service industry, money is, of course, it's important to everyone. But you got to build something around that. People want to belong to something bigger than themselves. So you got to sell the vision, the mission that you're after. That's why I love those brands that focus on purpose. You gotta talk about the purpose. What are we going to do together here as a team? And yes, I agree with you. People probably look at the moment right now. This is how much money I have, but it's going to end. All of those benefits are going to end, and then you're going to be sitting there again waiting. Complacency kills. I'm telling you, you got to keep it moving.
You know, we had designers from Wynn on. When I say designers, we had the president of Wynn Design and
Development.
And they were on. And I'm telling you, if I was a designer, okay, a young kid in design school right now, I would have found them by now. I would have found their email. I would have found their number. I would have probably taken a plane to Vegas. I would have found them. And I was like, I just want to be in the room for free. I just want, because their brand and their mindset, like he says, when I'm in a room and I'm trying to get this, I'm maniacal. I am intense.
Yes.
Like he was with me. We're all like that. Mm-hmm. And so if I was a designer, I'd have been on the plane. I've been knocking on his door and go, oh, I saw you on the Anthony and Glenn show. And I want to be in the room.
There you go. And again, what you said, Anthony, that's what you mean. You got to be out there. You have to engage, and you can't, again, be sitting back waiting for stuff to happen. This is a great show, and I mean, I applaud you guys. I mean, you're doing this every single day. The level of consistency that you guys have is absolutely, I have to commend you both. It takes a lot of discipline, man. It does.
He gets nuts. If I was just finishing a banana and I was eating my banana and he was like getting nuts because it was like, hey, it's 12 o'clock. I was like, I got to finish my banana. And so that's true. But, you know, and I would also, to the young people listening, I would go to Vegas, I would find that person and I would wear a mask. And on the mask, it would say, I want to be in the room.
There you go. See, creativity.
And I guarantee you that guy who is so busy and got so much going on will go, here you go, get in, close the door. You're my people.
Right. Yeah. And that's again.
And I don't care who you are. I don't care what background from you are. I don't care what color you are. If you do that consistently, you are going to make it.
That's a differentiator. That's your
You know,
brand
I
right there.
literally said, and Glenn heard me say this before, but I said to the headhunter, to get me the first general manager job, I will pay your fee.
Yes.
I didn't have a rowboat. I didn't have anything. I was fishing up a rope, but I said I'd do it, and thank God I got the job because I had no money, and
There
I
you
got
go.
it. But
That's
you have to do things right now. You don't get me. Like, don't make you my problem. Meaning, this is really important. You want to get that job. Okay, so you show up in a very kind, nice way. You make that person notice you. You let them know you saw the show, and then you disappear. If they bring you in, they bring you in. If they don't, you follow up in 2 weeks. Don't make me the problem. So one of the things when people try to get in touch with me, like, hey, text me. Here's my number, Monday, whatever. And then all of a sudden, I get so busy, I forget about it. They text me and I forget about it. The young kid. And that kid that doesn't get back to me in a week is the kid I forgot about.
Yeah, that's right.
Back to me in a week and say, hey, Anthony, I know you're real busy, whatever. Hey, you forgot to call me. Oh, crap. And I call immediately because I feel guilty.
Right. But sadly, so many kids won't do that. A lot of people will just sit back and, again, let the world control them as opposed to them directing their own destiny. And this happens a lot of times. We misinterpret something. Anthony not getting back to someone is easily perceived as, oh, he doesn't really want to talk to me. But that's really our internal schbilkes, to use a little Yiddish word that were there.
Can you spell that, please? Spell that.
Yeah.
Can you use that in a sentence?
Yeah, I just used it in a sentence. So you've got that uneasiness inside, that lack of confidence inside. So we misinterpret the situation where really Anthony was just too busy, meant to do it. It slipped his mind. So we all need to be more thoughtful about that and think about what the other person's reality is, as opposed to putting all of that on ourselves.
Exactly. Perseverance, again, keeps coming back to the same things. If you're consistent, perseverant, you will prevail. I just believe that. If you give up, I mean, your chances of success are zero.
Right.
All right. So I want to bring in producer Jeff here real quick to talk about something. So welcome, Jeff. Are you there?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going all right. So last week Jeff and I are partners on this hotel reboot conference series. We called it a podference, and we had a pretty serious technical error, and pretty much the whole thing just crapped out, right? Pretty significant. It upset me, but I was okay because I had nothing to do with the technology. Now that was Jeff's responsibility, and took it really, really hard in a very, very difficult, deep kind of way, feeling that sense of failure, right, Jeff?
Yeah. In my industry, and Calvin, I know that you know this being a speaker, I produce live corporate events normally, which has gone away, obviously.
Right.
So, this is Glenn and I started working on No Vacancy a long time ago, and we've done really well. And I've always been there for Glenn, and this was basically the first time that I wasn't able to be there. And for myself and professionally, and in our world, you're only as good as your last gig, right? Like that's the saying. So, Wednesday was a tough day, and more so the disappointment of letting Glenn down and the people that were attending than anything else, right?
And of course our other partner, Craig. We don't want to forget Craig.
What do you say to Jeff?
Well, Jeff, I look, first of all, I want to say, I really hate that happened. And, but I do have to also commend you on, obviously, you have a high sense of accountability. I can hear it in your voice that you care. And that goes a long way. So I know, I'm sure Glenn knows you have a wonderful track record. Of course, this was probably a huge, big deal that didn't happen. But Jeff, hey, look, man, you learn from it. I'm like this. Either you just learn from it and you move on. You please don't continue to carry that weight on you. You just make sure that it doesn't happen again. You figure out what went wrong, why it went wrong, and how you can prevent it. That's all you can do. Sometimes things are outside of your control, but Jeff, you just don't carry that weight, because that negativity is going to hurt your confidence long term. Sometimes we all end up in the wilderness. And it happens, but the impact of it is how long you're there. Just don't stay there. You know,
and that's why I wanted to bring it up, because we've
Yeah.
talked a lot on this show about failures and people's biggest failures and how they rebound from it. And you know, I want to make sure that people know that, I mean, it does happen to everybody, right? It happened to me last week. It's okay to lick your wounds, and you just have to keep going. You have to
keep going.
And like Kim said, it's being human and things happen. Thank you, Kim, for that. And it's true. And not only that, but the longer people linger on those things, the more they remind the person what happened. And now we're dealing with that instead of dealing with, well, let's keep going. Let's get the next one. Like you said, let's figure it out. Because if you spend one more second or one more moment worrying about that, then we're back there. And we don't need to be back there because it's over. Listen, we all screw up. We all make mistakes. And like when somebody on this show said to me, what's your biggest failure? I can't remember because I'm too busy.
There's so many. Many.
Because I'm too busy.
Just don't dwell on it.
Don't
dwell on it.
My next failure.
That's right. That's right. Don't stay in the wilderness, Jeff.
Yeah. And also,
move on.
I've been telling, and again, I'm not on here to heal myself. I'm on here to talk to the audience. I've been telling myself all week that failure is success training. And,
that's right. That's right.
And
that's right.
The only thing you can do is keep moving and
keep it moving. Going. I always say in my keynotes, move like you mean it. Right. Just keep moving.
All right. So there's no shame in failure. It's how each and every one of us responds to that failure and what we do with that in regard to picking ourselves up and finding success. And the fact of the matter is not everything is going to work out. That's why Anthony and I started this live show. That's why I did the hotel reboot. That's why I'm doing other things in my life, working on a multimedia book project type of a thing. I'm doing a whole lot of things because I know odds are something's going to fail, and I still want to make sure that I have success in my life.
Yeah, and you know what? When you do overcome those failures, people actually respect you more because you're more relatable. You know, you're more relatable to them because, you know, one of the things I try to do in my keynotes, the first thing I say is, I know what food stamps look like. I know what the yellow block of cheese tastes like. And it was Thursday at 3:00. And the reason I say that is because when I get up on that stage, you know, and maybe I drive up in a nice car and I have a driver or I have a nice tie on, people think I was born on that stage. And it's really important to understand that, you know, I'm running to my next failure or my next success. I don't know which one it is, but I'm still running. And then
right now, being a part of this with me, you're headed right towards that next failure. So you got that.
If you haven't realized, Glenn, the only reason I show up to the show is because I get to meet all your friends.
I know. I know. I can picture 6 months from now, it's going to be like me in 6th grade being picked last for the kickball team. It'll be you with all of my former friends.
Calvin,
Anthony, just take me with you.
You know, Calvin, what I do, and Glenn probably doesn't like this, but I always say, hey, Calvin, this is my phone number. Give me your phone number. I'm going to do it right now in the thing. Give me your cell. He doesn't like that because now I have a connection to you.
I would love to, Anthony. I would love to.
So here's the thing, though. In all seriousness about that, I try to approach the world as being a positive spirit for the universe and that whole pay it forward attitude. And if I put out great energy in the universe, and if I try whatever I'm doing as hard as I can because I'm helping others or just being a good human being, all of that's going to come back to me in a multitude. And I'll be more successful than I would have been if I tried to be selfish with my contacts or any of that kind of stuff.
And Calvin, what do you say to the person? And this is really important. What do you say to the person that, you know, Jeff got over it and he's moving on? But what happens to the people that they keep bringing it up? Now, so you bring it up to me and I'm like, hey, Calvin, I know you screwed up, whatever. Now the next day, you're like, hey, dude, man, I'm really sorry. I got it, bro. We're good. Keep going. And now it's the next day I see you really depressed. I'm really upset about it. I'm like, hey, man, let's talk about it. We talk about it. I'm there for you. I hug you. I cry with you. I kiss you. But now we're on to Monday, and you're still bringing that baggage with me. Now I'm pissed off, not about the problem. I'm pissed off. It's like, dude, we got to go. Like, what are we doing? Like, there's a lot of people out there like that.
That keep bringing up the failure. That keeps bringing up the failure to you.
What's that?
What you say that keeps bringing up the failure to you?
Right. And like, you're trying to help him, but now you're like, you don't want to help him anymore. You're pissed off. It's like, dude, stop talking about it. The only reason I remember it is because you keep talking about it.
Yeah. Well, just, hey, look, that's all you do. Just stop bringing it up or try to at least get them to understand that, man, we can't continue to go down this route. You got to start focusing on you got to just help them move. get over it. You got to get over it. Get over it.
All right. So I'm going to challenge you. Get over it. Those are simple words that are difficult. Get to the top of Mount Everest. Get over, the hill. Get over like the mountain. Those are easy words, but very difficult. How do you get over it? What is the things that you do in your life, the first thing, second thing, third thing, besides the things you talked about, perseverance, to get over it? I mean, those things are critical. What other things do you do?
Well, I try to focus on, first of all, I want to make sure what went wrong. I want to find out what was screwed up. And then I'm going to make sure what I'm going to do to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And then once I've done that, I've moved on. So I'll focus on more positive things. I'm not gonna bring it up anymore. It might run through my mind every now and then, but typically most of the times when something like that happens, it's usually around, if something does happen, it's usually I'll have that story. I'll know I'll be able to prevent it, and it probably won't happen again. But I just don't focus on things for a long time. I try not to anyway. And the thing is, over time, it just dissipates. I just really try to spend my time focusing on more positive things. If you continue to look at that stuff from a negative perspective, it's going to affect your health. It's going to affect your mindset, and you're not going to be able to do positive things. And
but what happens to people? But what happens to people? Like when I'm feeling bad for myself, or I have that moment, like that doesn't do anything for me. Actually, that enrages me when I start feeling that way. It doesn't comfort me. A lot of people get comfort, and then they start feeling bad for themselves, and it comforts them somehow, because it's like, all right, Anthony, you don't have to work. It happened. It's probably going to happen again. Let me go get that cheeseburger. Let me go get that drink. Let me go get that needle. Let me go get that card game. And then they start, because to feed that failure, but I don't I don't live there. Like it doesn't comfort me. It actually enrages me when I feel those things, and I start running the other way to go to my next failure or success.
That's the thing. But again, we talk about it's a mindset. A person that's like that. Only thing I could tell a person that dwells in negativity and it does hurt them over time. Try to get around some people that have more positive mindsets. That's all I can try to do. I try to. That we always typically, in most cases, we'll have some friends that are more positive. Try to find those people and try to talk to them and have a more positive, get a more positive mindset around it, because just don't dwell in the wilderness. It is not going to help you. And it's the past. It's almost like being a trapeze artist, to get to the next trapeze, they got to let go of the one behind them. It's the same, so they can move forward.
Don't be a flying Willenda. That's
I apologize for my daughter came in the room, which she knows she's not supposed to.
Oh, that's all right. That's life.
Hey, you've muted yourself.
Car, and apparently she's not mad at me anymore.
Hey, that's good. That's good.
Calvin, I have a question. I have a question for you related to that. You seem, obviously you're a very positive person. I am an extremely positive person. And going through this, I've been tried to be the positive light for a lot of people. I have my dark days. How do you recharge? Because I know you have your dark days too.
Oh yeah, man. I spend time, like I said earlier, I of course working out, that helps me tremendously, and I haven't been able to go to the gym, so I have to do it at home. But I love hanging out with my two boys. They're very positive. Their spirits are positive. So we play ball together. We watch movies together. I'm not a huge Fortnite fan, but they show me things on the games, and we just have a good time together. That kind of recharges me. But again, as I mentioned before, I spend time in the morning just getting my head right and starting to focus on what I'm going to get done for the day, and just trying to stay positive. And just like you, sometimes I do have days that are challenging, and I might think heavy about the pandemic and when is this all going to turn around with my speaking business and all that. But you got to realize what you can control and what you can't. Those big things like that, you cannot control that. So I focus on things I can control. At least I have the perception of that anyway. So, but I can call some of the past customers and see how I can help them. I can make sure that I keep myself in shape. I can make sure that I start writing the one chapter in my book. I can start focusing on writing content for our next podcast episode. Focus on the things you can do. Don't focus on the things you can't, because again, a lot of the stuff we're dealing with today, ladies and gentlemen, yes, you can help You know, with the civil unrest, you can do some things around that if you're interested in that. But this pandemic thing, the only thing you can control is trying to make sure that you don't give it to somebody else. Wear your mask, do your social distancing, do the things that you can do to try to help, you know, lower that curve, but don't spend so much time trying to carry that weight on you. Again, your body is not built to carry that kind of weight. So I just try to tend not to just focus. I focus on things I can control.
I think the best thing, you know, you said a lot of great things, but the one thing that I will use, and I will actually tell my children, I will tell other people, and I'll use them probably my keynotes, is you are not built to carry it. And I think that is, I never even thought of it in that way. And I think that's great. I mean, if you try to put 500 pounds in a trunk of a car, it's not going to work. You need to go get a pickup to make sure that can carry it. And I think that's the same thing. You're not built to carry 500 pounds of worry. You're just not. So you got to offload on that to something else and I think that is perfectly said. And I'll remember that for a long time, my friend.
No, thank you. That's good.
So Mike is a frequent listener, says, today's show has been so crucial. I had a dark day yesterday and found my sluggish this morning. Can't thank you enough. Thank you. Mike, thank you for being so loyal and allowing us to come into your home every single day. But we got one more question, and then I think we need to start headed towards wrapping this show up. Can you recommend any books or resources on mindset, Calvin?
Oh, wow. I you know, one of the ones I love to read is, I'm going to give you two. Simon Sinek is one of my, I love Simon. And the why, he talks about purpose a lot. And I think there's some things in there, particularly during these times, that's really relevant and can help you really find out what it is what's inside of you and what can make you a better person. And then I also like Think and Grow Rich, which is one of my favorite books. And that talks a lot about, you know, getting yourself within a mastermind group and things of that nature. So those are two of my favorite books. And so I would recommend those as well. And then once I write mine, please make sure to take a look at mine when I get
plug it.
It's most likely going to follow the podcast, the Iconic Mindset. And so I'm going to focus on the 4 Ps.
And then you come, and then you'll come on the show and you'll plug it, and I'll come on your show and plug mine.
I would love to.
And I want to be on your podcast. You know, you were talking about, you know, people get sluggish, whatever. And this podcast has been important to me, and other things I'm doing in my career have been important to me and my family. But I'm writing a book, and I was lost. I was like, I'm not in the mood to write the book. For 3.5 months, me and my co-writer, I didn't write it. I didn't want to. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to talk about what I was going through. I was like, how to go through it. And then I said, I interrupt this book for a pandemic, and that's going to be the name of a chapter. And I'm going to take whatever I'm thinking about and whatever I'm worried about and what's going on. I'm going to put in that chapter. Will it relate to the rest of the book? It probably will, but I don't care if it does, because at the end of the day, because you have to sometimes interrupt your life for a pandemic. You've got to, you know, like one of the things we talked about before. It's like we all have to look forward to something, right? Mm-hmm. My friend Glenn here was looking forward to going to Japan. My daughter was looking forward to going to Europe. Everybody's looking forward to something. The one thing, even if you can't really afford a lot of things, the one thing we all look forward to is a vacation. Even if the vacation is an hour from your house at the lake in a tent. And a lot of people can't even do that because they're out of work or whatever. And so I think another thing that you said is so important is we need to look forward to things. It is so critical. We need to look forward to things. And what we do in life, right? Carol, how many times have you been on stage, and Glenn, how many times have you been on stage, and I've been on stage, where you know everybody in that room, they have one more speaker or one more thing to think about, they're going to punch in the face.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And our job is to take them on a vacation. Our job is to have them look forward to that speaking engagement.
That's right. I'm not going up there to do a speech. I'm coming to create an experience. I'm coming to create an experience. So if I'm coming on stage, you can best believe I'm going to give you something you can take back that's going to help you.
Yeah, man, that's why I come out like a burst of energy and try to keep people off their freaking phones.
That's right. If people are looking at phones and stuff, man, you're not doing it. You're not moving.
So let me ask you, just off on a tangent in a second. I'm going to ask you, Calvin, and Glenn, and I'll answer it. What do you do when somebody's in the front row and they're not on their phone like real quick because they had an important meeting? They're like on their phone because they're tapped out. What do you do, Calvin?
Man, I don't know. I don't know what that looks like.
Okay. Good.
No. No.
Drop the mic, Calvin. Drop the mic, Calvin.
What is that? No.
Doing something wrong.
But you know what? I don't focus on that. I just don't focus on it. If I see somebody on the phone, I have no idea. Somebody could be texting them. Somebody could be sick. Anything could be happening. I don't know. But I'm going to focus on what I came to do, and that's to try to impact those people in that room. That's it. And I'm going to give it my 110%. And if somebody's on their phone, I look at it like they're missing out.
Yep. My approach is to try to win them over by being more awesome as possible, but then also to have the mindset simultaneous, like if they're too stupid to be paying attention to what these people are paying me to say, it's their loss. I still get to go home at the end of the day with a check in my pocket. You know,
my style, Calvin, is a little bit of both of yours, right? Mm-hmm. So I will not address it because I don't want to embarrass that person.
Oh no, I would never.
And I don't want I don't want to get off my flow. But I have been known that when other people are nudging them to get off their phone, I'd be like, "No, he's good," and I just keep going. Yeah. That immediately embarrasses them. It's like get off your phone. I'm like, no, leave him alone.
Right.
And I keep going. And most people don't even know what I'm talking about, but they gave me an in, and I take it. And maybe that's just because I'm not as good as you. But no, it doesn't happen that often. But when it does, but personally, I'll tell you what it does to me. It upsets me because it's like somebody paid a lot of money to have us there. Mm-hmm. Someone wants you to listen to us. Okay, right. You may or may not gain something, but there's a better chance you will gain something. Mm-hmm. And wouldn't that be much more valuable than TikTok right now?
Absolutely. And like I said, when I do see that, I try to. I mean, my keynotes are very interactive, so it's at some point I'm going to get you. I'm going to pull you in at some point, and so I'm just like I said, I'm just going to stay focused.
Where did you guys meet? Did you meet a keynote? Where did you guys meet?
Oh man, I've known Glenn. I've known Glenn. Oh man, since what 2000?
Long time ago. Were you doing marketing with Homewood?
Yeah, I was doing marketing with Homewood Suites by Hilton. I believe Glenn was working for a hotel.
I think it was probably hotel business time.
Yeah, hotel
because it was that long ago.
For you, everybody on here is an old friend of yours. Do you have any new friends? Because I'm not.
I think you're my newest friend, Anthony.
Yeah, that was a song. There was a song by Drake called "No New Friends." He's like, "That's his song."
So when I asked him, I said, "Your friend wants a comp room." He goes, "All my friends are dead."
Yeah, right. So one little thing that you need to know about Calvin and how he's affected my life. He knows this. The first time I ever saw him speak was for Homewood Suites by Hilton. That was even before it was by Hilton. It was just Homewood Suites. And it was so long ago, you hadn't even had 100 hotels, right? Exactly. So there's just I saw you coming on stage and your energy was unbelievable. And you had been one of the most incredible speakers that I'd ever seen before. The way you connected with the audience, the energy that you had out there. Man. And this was a time when I was a real shy wallflower. I had never done any speaking engagements. I had never done anything like that. I hadn't even moderated a panel in my life. And I looked at you and I'm like, this is the guy that I want to become. I want to be able to have control of an audience like he does. I want to have the energy that he does. And that really helped give me the right mindset in order to start pursuing everything that I've wound up doing to today. So thank you so much for being awesome and inspiring me.
Glenn, that's wonderful, man. And I'm proud of you, man. You're a superstar now, dude.
Thanks.
You got it going on, man. You really do.
But if I hadn't run into you, who knows where I'd be right now.
It's interesting because that moment that you went on, Calvin, you did other things, you became friends with Glenn, but did you know that you had such an impact on him?
No, not until he told me.
Right,
we had a conversation maybe several months ago, and he expressed that, and of course I was honored and humbled by it, but I didn't know I had impacted him to that level. Right.
And that day you may even been off. That day you may came feeling terrible, but you had a job doing. You did it, and you impacted someone. And
he wasn't feeling terrible.
And I knew something was special about you because Glenn, we'll have the biggest people, like names in our industry that you got that person, and he goes, yeah, I know him for 20 years, and I don't know Calvin, I don't know his name, and And he's like, he's more excited about you being on the show than anybody so far.
Oh man, that was cool. Thank you, man.
To every other previous guest on our show, you did not hear that.
Disclaimer. And it was great. I was excited to be on here with you too, Anthony. You know, I love your show. It's cool. Hotel Impossible and everything. So I'm excited to be here as well. This has been a great experience for me. I'll never forget it.
Thank you.
Well, I'll probably forget it as soon as I hit the end broadcast button, but I had fun too. I'm just kidding. Calvin, before we wrap up, tell us how we could find you. You've really, really earned a great shameless plug. Let's assume that people are going to want to start booking meetings again and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, wonderful. Well, you can find me at iconicpresentations.net, or you can send me an email directly at calvin@iconicpresentations.net. Or you can, and we also, as I mentioned before, we're on about our 4th or 5th episode on our podcast called The Iconic Mindset, and you can find that on pretty much anywhere you get your podcast. And so I would love to hear from you. I do virtual events as well. I can do customized webinars for folks. So just give me a shout. I would love to work with you out there and try to inspire your team. I know it's tough, and would love to be able to help in any way that I can.
You know, and another important thing is to understand is for companies out there to keep people employed, keep you going, keep Glenn going, keep me going, keep everybody going, because at the end of the day, when we get back, we want to still be doing what we're doing, right? Absolutely. And, you know, I have 6 or 7 things we're working on. So Keynote was kind of, and speaking was kind of a very small part of my business, but it's an important part of my heart. And it's an important part of what I do. And but keeping people that are on the circuit out there is so important. So webinars, bringing you on and doing that is so critical to keep you in the game and inspire your people. Because right now, that person that was listening to us at 10 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 1 o'clock, that was important. This is critical. Getting you on a webinar now is critical.
Yes. And like I say, I've had to pivot. You got to pivot. I mean, the times have changed, and you have to be flexible. And
but what you have to say now is 10 times more valuable than what you had to say 6 months ago.
I agree with you 100%.
People just don't want to pay for it anymore.
Yeah.
Wait, I had somebody. Hopefully he's listening. I had somebody put me on a cover of a magazine about 5 years ago. Big magazine. I won't tell you what it was. And he thinks because you put me on the cover of the magazine that every single time he calls me, I'm going to jump and do things for free. Now, I did one thing for him just as a good job. He's a nice guy, whatever. And he called me up and he goes, hey, we got this big webinar and we want you to do it, whatever. It's an hour and a half. You only have to, do this. So I had to really put stuff together. And I said, sure. So he gave me the number. And I was like, okay, really? Like, and it was like, and I will just tell you, the number was lower than the guy in Dunkin' Donuts makes in an hour.
That's not good.
No, it was like $10. It was like, well, we got like a budget of like $100. And I'm like, okay, what you should have done is called me up and say, hey, Anthony, we got this gig. We don't have a budget. Can you do it for free? Yes. 100%. I'll do it for you. It's webinar. Let me get my thing on. But like, I didn't understand the way that you come at somebody. It's like just say you need something to do for free. I'll do it. Crazy. Calvin.
And disclaimer, Calvin, Anthony will not do everything for free. Just
Calvin so no, for this person, because it was a webinar, I probably would have, or I would have been less.
Oh, we lost him. Yeah.
I would have been less insulted is my point.
Yeah.
Calvin, you did great. You were wonderful. I love you. You're my new best friend. I don't even like Glenn.
Now I'm already regretting introducing you guys. I do want to say, if we could pop off that logo for just 1 second. I do want to say that talking about pivoting, I just signed a big deal with a major hotel company because their annual event is going to be going virtual. And I'm going to be hosting a number of panels for them for that event. So that's exciting. So guys, help us get a little back in business a little bit. If you want to hire us for your events, we could still do it virtually. We could even do it in person. We're thinking about getting back on the road under certain circumstances, so that'd be fun. Yeah.
So, Glenn, when do I come and do that with you? This is a you thing. It's not an us thing. Okay.
Yeah. Believe it or not, there are a few things that I'm able to do without you. Less and less every day as the world closes in on me. But
listen, it makes me very blessed and happy to know that. So you know what? Tuesday at 2:00 you should be doing? This Tuesday, which is the 21st of July, what should you be doing, Glenn?
This Tuesday?
Yeah.
Tuesday at 2:00. I am going to be joining you for a webinar.
Yes. HospitalitySuccess.com.
And by joining, I mean listening. I'm not participating.
Right.
Tell us about that.
And I have it on my social media, so it's all out there what we're talking about. But basically what we're talking about, whether you're a brand, whether you're a hotel that's going away from a brand, whether you're an independent. And I'm going to be showing you, me and my partner, Jeremy, we're going to be showing you 7 different things that you really got to focus on to really look at what you need to do to transition. And tomorrow at, I think I have to check, but I think it's 2:00 on Facebook, we're actually going to be showing a Hotel Impossible show about how you turn around a hotel from a brand to an independent. So 2:00 Tuesday, be there. Hospitality Success. Go ahead and sign up. And guess what? It's free.
What? I like that. Free is always good. Speaking of free, sign up for our free newsletter. Text the word hotel to 66866 or subscribe at novacancynews.com. It's the word hotel to 66866. See it scrolling right there at the bottom of the screen.
All the information about my webinar.
It will be in Sunday night's newsletter.
Get out of here, Glenn.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
It's happening.
This is great.
I know. Hey, everybody. This was such a great show. I really appreciate all of you being here. I didn't expect us to go so long today, but that's what happens when you get great guests and great content. An hour and 41 minutes.
Oh, I blew through about 3 meetings. Okay.
I know. Oh, well, let's get on with our lives. Anthony, thank you all for being here. Remember, guys, I really feel like it today, especially after this conversation with Calvin, that you are vibrating with love and light, pulsating with love and light. Remember, you've got one life, so blaze on. And
Jeff, thank you so much for No Vacancies Live logo. I like